Welcome to another Facebook Live from UC Davis Health. I'm Rick Cushman, and I am with Dr. Cassandra Lee. She is the team doc for Sacramento Republic and a UC Davis orthopedic surgeon. We are here in a few minutes. There will be some folks from Sacramento Republic. In fact, the entire practice field is going to be out here. And we are going to talk a little bit about what it's like to be a team doctor for a major sport. And since she is a orthopedic surgeon, she's also going to give some advice on how to keep your future soccer star healthy, and maybe those of you who play in adult leagues, how to keep yourself healthy. Dr. Lee, thanks for being out here with us. This is going to be really fun.
I'm excited to be here. It's always great to be out with the team.
Yeah, and we see they're going to head this way any minute now. We can see them out in the parking lot, so we're going to try not to get in their way. A couple reminders, though, by the way. We are a proud sponsor at UC Davis Health of the Sacramento Republic, and they have their final home game on Saturday. They've just qualified for their sixth playoff appearance, but they are fighting to make their way up the ladder, so they're going to be out at Papa Murphy Field on Saturday. Tickets are available. You can still get out there and see them. I want to make sure I hit all the plugs. The other thing is we do need to say thank you to the Sacramento Republic because they're letting us out here, and frankly, you're the team doctor, you're an orthopedic surgeon, they trust you. Really, they probably have better things to do than let me out here, but here we are. Yeah. So I have to say, this is always think like it would be so fun to be a team doctor. Is it fun?
It is as glamorous as it sounds. No, just kidding. It is. It's actually great to be a team physician. It is truly the combination of medicine and athletics and sports. But the biggest part of it is there's another team that actually takes care of the entire team. So this is really truly a team sport. So the job of a sports medicine physician is to really take care of the athlete in all aspects, from nutrition to psychology to taking care of injuries, preventing injuries.
So you're on the sidelines for every game. In fact, this is your sideline gear. This is my I'm Go Sac Republic gear. But you work with them at other times besides being part of the sideline crew?
Mostly if there's an issue that the athletic trainer is mostly with them at all times. So this includes practice, sidelines, and everything else. So if the trainer is a little bit concerned, then the athletes will come in and see us in the office.
Okay. So now, one of the things that you think about is like you're going to sit there and go, oh man, what a great game. Do you get to really watch the game much, or are you too busy sort of treating folks?
So it depends what you consider a great game. Like for me, a great game is for me to watch the game. So if I'm not having to take care of a lot of the athletes on the sideline, then that's a great game.
How often do you have to take care of the guys on the sideline?
Luckily, it's probably a little bit more on the rare side.
Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah.
Good. So that's one of the questions is you can see soccer players here. Hey guys.
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
They're very fit athletes. Soccer players are among the fittest athletes really in American sports or in world sports. So it's sort of a two-level question. Being that fit and being that strong, do they have the capacity to injure themselves, or do they actually have the capacity to prevent injuries just in sort of their natural condition?
It's I guess the question's really tough because yes, these are great athletes. They are incredibly cardiovascular fit. If you think about it, they're literally sprinting for the next 90 minutes. Right. So you and I could probably sprint for 100 meters, right? So, I don't know. Maybe you can sprint more than me.
I was a runner.
So these guys do have the capacity to kind of keep on going at a high level. With that, you have to be able to be conditioned, and you also have to have recovery. And that's probably one of the biggest things that people don't think about when it comes to being an athlete. Because these guys go hard. They go 100%. They have games every week, maybe even twice a week, right? So, but the key is actually the recovery in between, so that prevents overuse, that prevents more injury. That actually will also affect their performance. Like if you keep on trying to perform at that high level, you're going to decrease.
Yeah. So I want to talk more about recovery in a minute because that's a lesson that all of us, our armchair, semi-armchair Saturday athletes could all learn. But one of the questions is with these guys, what are the kinds of injuries you see the most?
So with soccer players in general, the biggest set of injuries are actually going to be lower extremity injuries. Makes sense,
sure,
right? It's a kicking sport, so anything from ankles to knees to groin pulls to muscle pulls, hamstrings also specifically. Another thing that comes along in soccer is actually concussion.
Oh yeah.
So if you imagine, you see these guys going up heading for a ball, and they're going for it. So that's another issue for the injury.
Well, and that's a big part of the sport that we tend not to think about. I mean, how often do you run into it where one of the guys get concussed?
On the pro level, it's probably going to be a little bit lesser than actually what we see in the adolescent level.
Yeah.
Actually, the study came out of the American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine, so AOSSM, and they looked at the incidence of concussions in high school athletes and actually found that the incidence in female adolescent soccer players is higher than high school football.
Why would that be? I mean, I know there's a lot of
really
headers,
good
but I mean,
question.
what would make that? Because these guys have much more capacity to use headers more. Why would that?
That's a really good question. I don't think that's something that we have fully hashed out yet within our research. But looking at, if you think about what we do in soccer, we don't let kids head the ball until after 10 years old, right?
Right.
The reality is because their heads are too big for their bodies, right? If you think about it, it's almost like a bobblehead. They don't have the neck muscles that can kind of control their head. So that's one of the safeties we put in to kind of protect our youth in soccer. But I can't quite say why that it happens more often in females.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So one of the things that, and as we look at it on the field, and we can see that these guys are starting to do warm-ups, and and they're going to warm up for a while before they start playing, which is not something that happens so often on Saturday mornings, whether it's kids or adults that are playing. So what are some of the lessons that from pro soccer that regular soccer players could learn?
I think the important thing is that you really have to treat your body with respect, if you will. So warm up is key. So not jumping in all of a sudden, you got that Saturday morning league, you run a little bit late, and then so you run on the field and go all out.
Right.
That's not gonna bode well. That's gonna cause muscle pulls.
Yes.
It's gonna cause a lot of other problems.
Rule number one: don't jump out of the car and start sprinting. Right? Yes, that's or out of the house. That's another one too.
Yeah.
And then so for the kids versus the adults, what kind of warm-ups and how much do you suggest for them?
So warm-up is going to be basically anything where you get muscle, blood flow to the muscles, right? So probably easy jogging. If you look at these guys, they're kicking up their hips, they're opening up their hips, so they're really loosening up those hip flexors, those quads, those hamstrings. They're really trying to open up everything that they're going to really be stressing during their workouts.
Right.
So I think it's not just jogging, but you also probably want to do some lunges. You want to just try to get some flexibility into your warm-up too.
Yeah, it's as a former track athlete, one of the things we did a lot of high knees and a lot of strides, slowly accelerate. And that's something I was watching. I was watching a friend of mine's 50-year-old team warm up, and they didn't do that very often. They didn't warming up was setting up the lawn chair and making sure the beer was in a cooler was pretty cold. Didn't you guys warm up? So, I mean, those are the sorts of things I imagine that a lot of just recreational players don't even plan for in their day.
Yeah, a lot of it is, right, because a lot of us are just going to go in and say, hey, our fitness is going to be our playing, but the reality is you don't want to hurt yourself. And as we get older, and I'm not calling any of us old, right? But we're all getting older at some point.
I think it's happening. Standing here, I'm starting to age already.
Yeah, the key is really just to make sure you warm up.
Right.
And the interesting thing is, I'm going to do a little bit of plug here. So looking at our youth sports, one of the biggest things as a sports physician is that we want to prevent injury, right? It's one thing to actually take care of the injuries, but the best thing is actually prevention. So one of the biggest things I worry about as a sports physician, I was an athlete back in the day, but no longer.
What'd you play, by the way?
I played volleyball.
There you go.
Yeah. So, is really prevention. So, one of the big things that I worry about is adolescent females. There's a high incidence of ACL tears, and I actually had an interview with I forgot one of the TV programs and looking at
I saw that, yes.
female and ACL injuries, but specifically in adolescent teenage females, there's a higher risk for ACL tears, and that's definitely multifactorial. But one of the biggest things now is FIFA has come up with a prehab, if you will. So as part of the warm-up, there's actually something that's called FIFA 11. So if you guys want to Google that and look it up, but basically it's a set of exercises you can incorporate into your warm-up, especially in the teenage group, but basically to help kind of prevent, kind of build a lot of the strength that you need to protect your knees from an ACL tear.
Well, that's another question too. Is just for whether it's kids playing or as become high school athletes or adults that are playing, whether it's soccer leagues or softball leagues. What kind of exercises besides warming up? What sort of muscle groups do you think that they should be working to strengthen? I mean, ACL protection, that means what, hamstring strength and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is you think about ACLs, you're like knees. Okay, let me just work on my leg muscles. But the reality is all the muscles you need to use are actually going to be your core to floor. So I call it core to floor strengthening. So core strength has to be really good, hip flexors, hamstrings, and these actually little butt muscles actually is what is key to keep your knee in a good position. So if you're cutting and twisting and pivoting, the little butt muscles kind of hold your leg in the right place so as to not put it in a bad position to tear the ACL.
So work the glutes.
Work the glutes.
And there's a benefit. Look good in pants. That's always important.
Exactly. It's the ultimate butt lift.
That's right. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about recreational athletes in a minute, but since we've got now they're behind us and we can see them out there. One of the things that I always wondered about with athletes, I know that even as a high school athlete, that nobody wanted to admit to being injured because they wanted to play.
Yes.
Plus there's the you're tough. Doesn't matter. It's not macho is not the right word because it's men and women. Nobody wants to admit that they're not tough enough to take that hit. So how difficult is it to get folks to admit these professional athletes, great professional athletes, how to get them to admit that they've been injured?
I think setting the culture is key. We don't want to look at this as something that you're punishing your athletes for having an injury. The reality is we're here as a medical support. We want the team to be as healthy as well as good as they can be so that they can perform and they can get those championships.
Right.
So the key is staying healthy so that you can perform the best and get there.
That you don't lose your spot. Although there was the guy that lost I forgot his name. Everyone forgot his name. The first baseman who was injured, Lou Gehrig, took over and played for like 100,000 years right after. So, everybody is afraid of losing that one spot out there. So, and by the way, if you're just joining us, we are on the practice field at Cassandra River College. Thank you, by the way, Cassandra River College, for letting us come out here as well. This is Sacramento Republic back there. You can see going through drills. We're talking about doing drills, and I'm with Dr. Cassandra Lee. She is an orthopedic surgeon at UC Davis Health, and maybe more importantly for this, she is the team doc for Sacramento Republic. And by the way, also a reminder, these guys are in the playoffs, 6 straight season, and now they're fighting for a spot. They're playing at home on Saturday night at 7:30. You can still get tickets. It's on their website. So let's talk a little bit more about kids. And one of the things that we sort of tend to forget with our kids playing soccer is like, here's the ball, go kick it, right? So what's some of the advice and some of the lessons maybe from being around a team like this that parents ought to be thinking about in terms of monitoring their kids' injuries? Back to what I was saying before about not admitting that they're hurt.
Mm-hmm. So I think the difficult part is telling like when is your kid hurt, right? When do you know to go to the doctor versus like when do you know just to kind of hold off on it? So
little Johnny's crying because he wants to go back and play video games.
Right. So the interesting thing about kids is kids will actually tell you when they're not going to verbally tell you, but they're going to tell you if they can do something or not. So typically if there's an injury or something that goes on, you want to rest them, ice them. So do the rice thing. So rest, ice, compress, elevate. Give them a little rest period and maybe some Tylenol or Advil. And if they get better in a day or two, then chances are they're fine. But if it doesn't go away in a couple of days, then that's when you should seek medical attention.
Well, and some of that, though, is even that day out on the field. There's the kid that's lagging behind, and sometimes that's just the person that's a little bit out of shape, and sometimes it's the person that got injured. What are the signs that you might look for?
I think it just... Oh, that's a really good question.
Besides the limp. Because I often go into my fake limp so you don't have to do work, but I don't think that's the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's the same thing with kids. But I think a lot of times if you just pull the kid out and just let them rest and then see if they're ready to get back in. I think it's incumbent upon us as the medical staff as well as the coaching staff to take a look and see, if the kid is just kind of, or the athlete is just kind of hanging back, you need to really assess and see if is there some injury or is the kid just needs a little time out.
Yeah. You were talking earlier about recovery, and I want to get back to that. So that's an important thing for every kind of sport, but certainly for a sport like soccer, right? Because these guys, they are endurance athletes as well as sprint athletes, and as well conditioned as they are, they need time to bounce back. It's something that we tend not to think about as sort of armchair athletes or regular athletes. So what kind of recovery do these guys need, and what kind of recovery would you suggest for the weekend athlete? Somebody's playing a soccer, a tournament on Saturday and that goes into Sunday. What does that, whether it's a kid or an adult, what do they need to do to recover quickly? But let's talk about them first. How much kind of recovery did these folks need?
So these guys have been just kind of going at it for a long period of time, right? So they're definitely they have a lot more endurance built in than most of us. And the difficult part is like how much recovery do you need? It's kind of hard to say, like how's it your recovery versus my recovery?
Right, every
and it really
different.
Everyone's different. But the reality is if you're going hard for a game, that day, you're sprinting, and you're going 100%, you probably need to have that at least that next day to come down. You shouldn't be going for big sprints the next day. You shouldn't be going and doing a big workout the next day. You should actually let your body kind of recover, let your muscles recover. If anything, you can be doing like a easy kind of cardio or easy kind of stretching type day or easy strengthening type day.
And what kind of things, if you are, say, somebody playing in one of those tournaments, so you got 3 games on Saturday and 2 more on Sunday, what do you do Saturday night besides go out and party? Do you hydrate? Do you think about what you eat? Do you stretch? Do you ice? What kinds of stuff?
Actually, that's a great thing. I forget. That's a great point. Hydrating is key, actually. But here's the funny part. Hydrating doesn't happen on the field. It happens the day before.
Right.
So you need to hydrate the day before. So by the time you realize you're on the field, I'm like, hey, I'm thirsty. That's too late. You're already behind.
Right.
So you really need to keep up with that, with the hydration up front.
Yeah, I'm always impressed. Like you watch the Tour de France. Now they have a whole different level of sort of insanity, I think would be the good word in terms of what kind of endurance that they go through. But you look at those riders, and they've finished and they're off the bike and they're talking to the camera, and they've been off that bike for 30 seconds. They're already chugging water, and that's another thing too, is to start drinking soon after, right?
Yeah, just staying on top of it. Like by the time, I guess one way to assess if you're hydrated enough is actually just look at the color of your urine. If it's really dark yellow, then you probably need to catch up.
Yeah. Right? And it's water, not coffee, by the way.
Yes, yes. You want to make sure.
Wants to hydrate
water.
with coffee. Yes, that's right.
Hydration with coffee, you might actually end up pushing it back out. So you definitely want to use just good old-fashioned water. And then I guess the question then becomes electrolytes, right? So that's a difficult part. Electrolytes, it's a big industry, right? So can I tell you how much salt you need versus how much salt I need? I don't know the answer to that. I think big endurance athletes who are really going hard on like a big hot day, you can tell when you see like the salt rings on their shirts, you probably need to have electrolytes. You got to replace all that stuff that's coming out. But is that different from my half-hour workout on a spin bike? Probably. But I can't tell you how much electrolytes are necessary.
Is there a problem if you over electrolyte to create a new verb?
Yeah, probably not. Because the beauty of it is the human body is amazing. It can actually compensate and figure out what you need and what you don't need. So if you have too much salt, if you will, or too much, I guess I can't call it salt because that's a whole different ballgame. But too many electrolytes, your body should be able to get rid of it.
Right. So and what about sort of the little ones though? Does a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old need the same kind of electrolyte replacement, or is it different for them to get it into them?
It's probably not any different, honestly. So the American diet actually has quite a bit of salt in it. So that's probably going to suffice for a 6 to 10-year-old athlete, But the key is trying to get them to drink water, right? Because they may not want to have water. They might want to have something a little more sugary or whatnot. So, but really try to get the water in there if you can.
Well, what about there's sort of that range of sports drinks from there's the various aids,
right?
And some are sweet, and some are really sweet, and some are lightly sweet. And I remember this is years ago, but somebody had some study that said with a little bit of sugar they absorb the water more. I don't know if that's true. Is there any truth to that?
In theory, if there's a little bit of sugar, you absorb the salt better. But honestly,
a lot of sugar, no.
Yeah.
So
honestly, it's going to be one of those. Figure out which one you like and stick with it.
Right. Probably at that point, just get something to drink.
Yeah, exactly. Just get something to drink.
Yeah. That's good. All right. So, I know that you were talking before about women's knee injuries. And I know that in some of your stuff it's a certain age level at which they start to have. It was like after age 10, if that I remember.
Basically, puberty.
So is it a physiology thing in terms of like the curvature of the body or the physical makeup? I mean, what is it that causes that sort of thing?
That is a very good question. It's actually we don't fully understand the entirety of what causes it, but if you think about it, the rates of injuries from boys and girls before puberty are the same. Once you hit puberty, so with girls, you're going to have hormone changes, you're going to have hip changes, you're going to have difference in how the muscles develop, you're going to have growing pains, all that stuff. The ACL rates go up to 4 to 5 times higher than boys.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
So it is a real problem.
Wow. So back to what we were talking about, I'm pointing because we were down the field and we were talking about this, but we were talking about exercises that people can do. So are there specific exercises or should girls do more?
Yes, absolutely. And that's kind of what I hinted at before, was like that FIFA 11 type program. Yeah. And it's actually it's something that can be incorporated into the warm-ups. So again, a lot of it's going to be core. It's going to be the buttock muscles, the glute muscles, the hamstrings, working on kind of landing mechanics. Because drills, interestingly enough, when we jump up to land, we actually land a little more stiff-legged, straight-legged. And what happens is that's what puts our knees in a bad position. Boys tend to land a little bit differently, and it's a strength issue too.
We land like cats.
A little bit. You got to think about landing
Maybe
soft.
not.
Actually, no. There's truth to that. You got to land soft.
Yeah. You know, I was pointing at the field back there because here we've been talking now for about 20-25 minutes, and you guys are still warming up.
Yeah.
So once again, the point about a real serious warm up is a real serious warm up.
Yeah, actually really warm up.
Yeah, it's not just walk up down the block and do a couple of fake kicking motions, but it's and the truth is we do know this. You'll also play better too. You'll run faster, jump higher, all those sorts of things. So, okay, so I need to ask you this question. Not that anybody on Sac Republic has ever taken a dive. But one of the things we love about pro soccer in particular, and you always see this at the World Cup level, actually more than at any level, is where two guys bump shoulders and one of the guys goes down, writhing in pain, holding his knee. All right. So, as a medical professional, how likely is it that guy writhing, holding his knee, is going to jump back up as soon as the ref doesn't make the call and walks away?
Wow, that's a loaded question, isn't
yes,
it?
it is.
Oh,
it totally
gosh.
is.
So here, I can so every trainer will have something in their bag called a magic spray. So the nice part about the spray is that you can spray it on anything on these athletes and they can jump right back up.
Yeah, it's the
tongue in cheek, of course.
Yes, it's the pain related. Yeah, we're gonna, just so you can see them behind us right now, and also probably stay out of the way. If you do see a flying soccer ball, don't be alarmed. I'm going to get back to the sort of notion of preventative injury and recovery. So, what specific lessons that you see that these guys do? Now, we were just talking about workout. About warm up, because now they're finally actually working on drills.
Mm-hmm.
So, what lessons from here should kids take? Should parents take? Should recreational league adults take out of that in terms of how these guys practice?
So I guess what we're seeing on the professional level is that they really take warm-up seriously, right? They're not going to go and all of a sudden just basically come out of the locker room and go out and start playing and go into drills in specific plays. They're going to actually warm up their hips, they're going to warm up their legs, they're going to do some lunges like you kind of mentioned, they're going to do a little bit of running, and then now they're just working on just easy, just dribbling and juggling and whatnot. So
that was an official soccer Sac Republic soccer ball right there.
Yes.
I don't know if it was on camera, but they're flying everywhere. We're actually going to keep moving, get out of the way so they're not flying out of there.
That's one of the hazards actually of sports coverage, is that you always have to pay attention because you don't know when the ball's going to come towards you.
Well, and so that actually brings up a good point. So there you are on the sideline, and you're looking at a player because somebody's hurt.
Yeah.
Is somebody keeping an eye out and make sure that there's not either a ball or a scrum headed your way?
So typically, if I'm actually out on the field, obviously play is stopped, right? So that's not something I have to worry about. But when I assess athletes on the sideline, yes, it's actually off of the sideline a little bit, kind of behind the benches. Mm-hmm. So it's usually pretty safe.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah. Yes.
That being said,
yes,
out of the corner of my eye is always kind of watching.
I'd say we're probably jinxing you for Saturday night. Yeah. So now you travel with the team as well. Is that right?
No, I don't.
So
not this team.
So you're the doc for all games here.
So within the sports medicine section of UC Davis, we have a bunch of orthopedic surgeons. But so here's a neat thing about what sports medicine doctors are. We're multi-faceted, if you will. So we have physical medicine and rehabilitation doctors, mm-hmm. internal medicine doctors, family practice doctors who do sports, but obviously more on the medical side of things. And then we have the orthopedic side. So there's orthopedic sports medicine, as well as one of our foot and ankle partners is also into sports coverage because he took care of a lot of the FIFA and MLS stuff.
Right.
So
yeah, and you also, you've done surgeries on various athletes as well too. So it's the full suite of coverage, as we say.
Yes, we have everything from the common cold to head injuries to knee surgeries.
The common cold, we forget about these guys.
These guys are human. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. All right. Well, I think we're going to let them continue their practice, and we're going to get out of there. We want to say thank you very much to Sac Republic for letting us hang out at their practice, and thank you to Dr. Cassandra Lee for letting us bother her for a morning when she could probably be doing better things. And also Summit River College for letting us come out here. And remember, tickets are still available for Saturday night. They're in the playoffs, fighting for a spot. Come root on our great Sacramento Republic team. Thanks for watching.